This is Sales Players, and I'm your host, Jesse Woodbury. I've spent my career selling for early stage companies, and now I'm on a mission to help reps and operators find tips, strategies, and resources for generating more pipeline, closing more deals, and building wealth in tech sales. To learn more, visit salesplayers.co. What's up, Sales Players? It's Jesse here, and before we jump into the topic of today's episode, I wanted to fill you in on a little promotion that I'm running for the month of August. August is a very critical month if you work in B2B sales. Why? Well, now your decision makers are coming back into the office, kids are going back to school, and everyone's thinking about how to finish off 2025 in the best way possible. So it's a very critical time to make sure that you're dialed in, hitting your targets, and building the right amount of pipeline so that you can finish 2025 strong. So for August only, I'm going to be offering $99 1-hour coaching sessions. These are normally $250 an hour. So if you've ever wanted to explore my one-on-one coaching, now is a chance to do it and save some money. Here are some potential focus areas for the coaching session: landing a better role in tech, landing a new role, finding the right fit, transitioning from another industry into tech sales. I will help coach you on my process for interviews and salary and comp negotiation. We can cover off on general sales skills. That's things like discovery, presentation, negotiating proposals, building a strong proposal offer, multi-threading, executive peering, all the different things that we talk about here on the show all the time. Or we can focus in on helping you build income on the side of what you're doing in your current role. A lot of the folks in the Sales Players community are looking for ways to make some extra money using their sales skills, and they want to find something that works with the demands of being an account executive or an SDR in tech. We can certainly work on a plan for helping you launch an extra source of income. And then lastly, let me help you become a content creator. Maybe you've wanted to launch a newsletter or a podcast or some other media property where you can share your thoughts and your content and your subject matter expertise. I'd be happy to walk you through how I built Sales Players, how I got it to market, and what I've done with it in the last couple of years to help me achieve some awesome things for my career and open some doors. So some quick details. This promotion is only going to be available through August 31st at 11:59 Pacific time, and all sessions must be booked in month, but they can be scheduled out to a future month if needed. And there's no limit for the number of sessions you can book, but they are subject to my availability. So I will put a link to get your session scheduled down in the show notes, and I'm looking forward to getting connected with you and helping you level up. Now on to the topic for today's episode, which is actually relevant to what I just said, and that's all on the topic of potential side hustles and sources of income that you can build as a seller. We as sellers have this amazing skill set, which is this ability to generate demand and run conversations and build proposals and offers that convert and sell. We know how to write good emails that get people's attention. We know how to work multiple stakeholders. We know how to handle objections. All those amazing things that you learn as a seller can be applied to side hustling. But the big question is, should you start a side hustle? And that's a lot more nuanced and more of a personal question that you should ask yourself. And there's a lot of considerations that you'll want to make. Mainly, is it a conflict of interest for what you're doing now? The last thing you want to do is get yourself in trouble with your HR team. So be sure to check your employment agreement before you start anything. Next, you want to make sure to conserve your energy. We're already in a very demanding line of work, and you have to ask yourself if adding a side hustle into your workflow is going to complement what you're already doing, or if it's going to be a distraction from achieving quota and building commissions. Having a side hustle can help you build skills, relationships, and it can actually overlap with your role as an account executive. But you have to ask yourself if you're willing to put in the work. Sometimes that means working on weekends or in the evenings. And if you're already working a high-stress tech sales job, maybe it's not the right fit for you. But generally, I think it's a great idea to apply the skills that you've learned in selling to some other project that can help you express yourself creatively and also build extra streams of income that can help you in case you're in a pinch. We all know that it can be pretty unpredictable working in tech sales, and so it's always good to have multiple streams of income just in case you find yourself out of work and needing some runway in order to find your next gig. So let's get into a couple of ideas, and most of these ideas I've actually run at different points in my career. I haven't run them all at once. I've been doing this a long time, and at different points in my career, I found myself with just extra time and extra mental bandwidth where I wanted to experiment with something and see if it was possible just to make some extra cash from my skill set. And so I'll get into a list here that I've built of some ideas that are very effective if you're trying to get something started. And again, I don't need to sell you on the benefits of having a side hustle. It's really a rewarding thing to build something and find a way to make extra income on the side that you can use to invest or get yourself out of debt or power the lifestyle that you're wanting to have. One of the other benefits, though, of having a side hustle is you can start to think of things like an administrator or an operator. And I think that's really, really important in tech sales, is to start to have an operational lens on things. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're a seller, it's really a good idea to understand how companies operate, how decisions get made, how tools get selected. All those different things you can actually learn as someone who's doing a side business. And as you're building your own thing, you're going to find that you have to make different decisions and you have to look at financial analysis for things, and you'll really see the other side of the spectrum. And it's going to help make you more empathetic with your buyers, because you're going to understand what it's like to be someone who is a decision maker. You're a decision maker for your side hustle. And so I think there's a lot of benefits to doing this. So let's get into the list here that I put together. So the first idea that I put down is freelance business development. Super easy stuff. You're already likely doing this anyway, day in and day out. You're cold calling, you're sending prospecting emails, you're connecting with people on LinkedIn. So naturally, a freelance business development consultancy is a really good idea and could be a complementary thing to what you're already doing. So a few years back, I had a really close recruiter connection reach out and say, hey, would you be interested in helping me land some searches? And I'll pay you a percentage of those searches if we get a client hired, right? If we complete a successful search, I'll cut you in on what the deal is. And if you don't know a lot about tech recruiting, especially if you're recruiting executives, which is what this role was, it can be very lucrative because typically recruiters get a percentage of whatever the salary is for the person that they place. So if you're a tech recruiter out there hunting for a vice president of sales or a vice president of marketing or a vice president of engineering, you're going to get some percentage of that person's salary over the course of some number of months. And it varies. There's different ways to structure it, but you can imagine these searches can get pretty lucrative for the right headhunter. So this was years ago now, again, almost a decade ago. I had this recruiter friend reach out and she said, here's how we're going to go about trying to find some of these searches. If you've got some bandwidth in the evening, help me out here and I'll cut you into these deals. And so I would just come home from work. At the time I was working in an office. I would come home in the evening and just spend a few hours every night doing some very strategic outreach against these potential searches. And how I would do it was I would go to a job search website, maybe something like Indeed, or Built-In is a really great one. There's Angel List. I don't think it's called that anymore, but there was all these different job lists, and you could just ping the person that was maybe the contact on the job description. So I'd go look for a job description that might say, looking for a VP of engineering or a VP of product. And I would reach out to the person that had made that posting and say, hey, have you had any luck finding someone for this role? If not, I've got a friend I want to introduce you to. She is a headhunter and here's her fee structure and here's how it all work. And I had a pretty high success rate on that. It didn't last forever. I probably did that for the better part of a year, maybe a little longer than that. But it was really nice to make a few extra $1,000 every month just from helping do something that I was already good at. I was already really good at writing prospecting emails. I already knew how to hunt for these potential conversations. And then all I had to do was intro these people off to my recruiter friend. She took care of all the presentation and closing stuff, and then paid me a commission check anytime those closed. So that's one example. You could do this for companies. If there's a startup out there, I had Fidel Cashflow on the podcast a while back, and he talked about contract stacking. That's basically reaching out to startups and saying, as a mercenary, I can come in and help you build pipeline in your new startup, and I charge XYZ per month to do that, plus commissions, right? The other thing I've done is helped startups do some advisory around how they could build a process for outbounding, how they could build a playbook for sales. Those are all options for you. Now, you're going to have to work at your level, whatever your skill set is. Maybe you're early on in your career and you don't have a lot of strategy underneath your belt yet. You can still reach out to people and say, hey, I write sequences. That's my specialty. I write really high converting sales emails and I want to do that for your firm. How do I help you, right? And then you build a proposal and do everything you already know how to do as a seller. So that's number one, freelance business development. Number two, niche lead generation and web design services. Yes, I did do this in my spare time. I did things like run Facebook ads for dermatologists. There's a really long story here, but the short story is I had a relative who ran a dermatology office and he had hired me to run ads for them just on the side, and he was paying me a fee plus the ad spend. And so once I started having success running ads for his dermatology practice, I realized I could reach out to other dermatologists and do the exact same thing. So for the better part of 2 years, I was running these Facebook ad campaigns for doctors and dermatologists, and I had quite a few clients. This was in a period of my work life where I wasn't quite as busy and didn't have quite as much going on. I was actually in a leadership role at the time, and there just wasn't a lot going on outside of work. So I was able to pick up these clients and manage them. I will say it got a little overwhelming, and at a certain point I had to wind it all down and walk away from the opportunity. But it was a really great side hustle for a while. Again, all the same skills. It was reaching out, doing cold outreach to dermatologists, showing my results, showing what I knew how to do, and then charging a retainer for several months to help them run ads on Facebook and Instagram for their practice. The other thing I did was I used to post on Craigslist, and I would offer website build projects for people. And I actually had a surprising number of people come inbound from Craigslist. You could probably do this on a bunch of different websites now, like Reddit or anywhere else. And I would have people reach out, and then I would sell them a website project. And it would be a one-time thing. It would be, hey, in 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to build this out for you, and here's how much it's going to cost. I actually helped this guy who sold, they call them suppressors, but we know them as silencers, especially if you're a video gamer and played GoldenEye when you were younger, the silencers. So he was selling suppressors or silencers, which are used for guns on an e-commerce website. And I helped him completely redesign his whole website. Now for that project, I actually had to subcontract out some of the technical work to someone that I'd connected with online who lived in Mexico, who knew a lot about building e-commerce websites. And he and I split the project, and it was actually a lot of fun to go through and work on that. I worked with a solar company and a handful of other verticals. There was some different service type businesses that I worked with to develop a high converting website. You likely already know how to use these tools. And again, it's the same concept that you're doing now. It's reaching out to people, jumping on a quick call. In a lot of cases, these website deals would close in one call. So it wasn't like it was super time consuming, especially because I had a contractor in Mexico who was doing the technical work. So it really wasn't me spending as much time. I was just sort of the project manager, making sure the pot was stirred and making sure we were hitting our deadlines. So a service business like that, something in lead generation, something in web design services. This could also be something with social media. Maybe you're really good at TikTok or editing short form videos. You could reach out to companies and offer to do videos for their TikTok or for their Reels. If you're really good at LinkedIn, you could reach out to CEOs and say, I will post on your behalf and be a thought leader, and I'll help you create a brand on LinkedIn. There's all kinds of different things you can do. And it's, again, stick to the stuff that you know how to do really well and that you can speak confidently to. I'm not going to lie, I probably wasn't super confident around website design, but I'd spent enough hours tinkering around, building my own websites and doing things like that, that I knew that I could at least find the right people to help me and split the fee. So that was that business, and that lasted for a while actually. And that was right around the time I bought my house. I was just looking for extra ways to make money because we were trying to furnish the house and do some other projects. And at the time, I was in a little bit of a lull period in my selling career and wanted to make sure I had some extra cash coming in. All right, number 3. This is one that just does not get talked about enough at all, and that is B2B affiliate marketing. Now, this is going to require having a pretty decent sized network or even an audience like a newsletter or a podcast or a YouTube channel or a TikTok account. But basically, this works the same as with B2C companies. You'll see people out there talk about doing affiliate marketing for Lego or Disney, or if you go on any social media platform, you're always seeing people sell Stanley's or whatever it is that they're an affiliate for. You can do that with software and AI tools. And there is tons of opportunity here still. There's platforms like PartnerStack where you can go and register to be an affiliate partner for some companies. You can actually go and search for companies that are looking for channel partners or affiliate partners, and you can sign up to be part of their affiliate programs. And basically what you do is you run promotions, or if you have an existing network that wants to buy from you, that trusts you, you can sell through that network, and you get a commission every time you sell something. So one example of this is Surf. You've probably heard me, if you're a longtime listener of the podcast, you've heard me talk about Surf and some other different tools. Those are affiliates of mine. And Surf has actually paid me quite a bit of commissions over the years for promoting their product. And it's a product that I use and really love. So that's maybe the first step in this, is finding products that you already use and would already recommend to people, and then go sign up for their channel or affiliate program. Then when someone asks you what you use for your calendar scheduling, or if they ask you what CRM you like best, or if they ask you which AI call recording tool you like to use, you can actually send your affiliate link their way. Now, it's even better if you have an audience, as I mentioned, if you've got a LinkedIn following or a following on some social media platform or YouTube or a podcast, you can actually make those recommendations through that platform, and then you can see conversions come through and signups. And the commissions tend to be somewhere between 10 and 20%. What's wild about that is the commissions can actually be bigger on an affiliate program than if you were actually selling full-time for that company. Like, I'm pretty sure that if I worked for some of these companies that I've affiliated for as a full-time account executive, my commission cut of the deal would have been less than if I was just an affiliate partner. So that's B2B affiliate marketing. It does take a little more time to launch something like that, but if that's interesting to you and you already promote products to your network, or you already have a built-in audience in some way, or you want to build an audience, that's a great way to start making some money. It does take time for those commissions to start rolling in. And in some cases, they're not huge dollars, but the more you work at it and the more you start to build momentum, the more likely you're going to start to make a couple extra $100 or $1,000 a month. And you can't complain about that, especially because it's pretty low effort if you're already doing recommendations like that anyway. All right, number 4, consulting or done-for-you services. Maybe you have some superpower. Maybe you're really good at your CRM system if you use HubSpot or Salesforce or something like that. Or maybe there's another tool you use, like Adio is a new one that I hear out there. Maybe you're really good at AI. Maybe you love using ChatGPT and you can see some ways that this could help a company. You can reach out to lists of companies and offer your services and your expertise as a consultant. I have done this a handful of times over the course of my career in different spurts. It's not always consistent, but I've been an advisor for multiple startups where I've come in and helped them build out their CRM and their playbook. I've come in and helped them write messaging, build a sales deck, put together things like order form templates, and run an entire process. Maybe you're really good at cold calling and you want to come in and do coaching for a company on how their team can get better at cold calling. There's so many different ways you can take this. And really what it comes down to is looking inward and saying, what is it that I like doing, that I'm pretty good at, that I'm pretty sure I could deliver results on? And that's it. Find what that is. Think about who could benefit from that service and start doing some outreach. It doesn't take long. It's networking on LinkedIn. It's sending a couple of cold emails, maybe making a few phone calls, maybe finding someone within your network who might benefit from your services, and then sign up for a Stripe account, put together a quick one-page proposal in Google Docs, and you're going to be off to the races. All right, last and certainly not least is content creation. Now, this one is a lot harder, and trust me on this, it takes a long time to build momentum when you're creating content. And even once you've built momentum, it can sometimes ebb and flow, at least it has in my case. Obviously, there's some content creators out there that have just always gone up and to the right, but unless you have a lot of time to dedicate to content, it can sometimes be a real challenge. The reason for that is because depending on the format of your content, it can take a lot of energy to produce podcasts, for example, or YouTube videos. It takes a lot of time to write a newsletter if you want to do it the right way. And so it's not the fastest way to get to, an extra $1,000 or $2,000 a month, but it is something that can help you build your network. It can build your audience, and it can help you in your day job too. There's been occasions where I've had prospects in my day job reach out and acknowledge my podcast and say, that's pretty cool that you're putting something out there into the world like that. How can we now partner on other things? I once helped a prospect at a really large retail brand. I helped his son get a job in tech sales, and that was because he had mentioned to me on a demo call that his son was looking for a job in tech sales. And he said, hey, I saw that you do a podcast. Can I connect you with my son? And can you help point him in the right direction? He just finished school and he's trying to break into tech sales. I took that call. I also closed the deal with the retail brand. So it was win-win because I got a lot of goodwill from my prospect, and I was also able to help somebody land a role in tech sales. So content creation can unlock so many doors. It does require a lot of consistency. You have to be consistent on producing content. That's something that I'm probably guilty of not being super consistent about, especially recently. but it's very much a long game. You have to keep playing the game, and you've got to find what platform and format makes the most sense for your content. Maybe that's LinkedIn, but maybe it's something else. Maybe it's YouTube, maybe it's TikTok, maybe it's something else altogether that I'm not even thinking about. But one of the other tricks that was shared with me a long time ago is if you're creating content, a great way to start is to start documenting ways that you've helped people. So maybe you have a colleague who's asking for advice, or maybe someone reached out to you from your network and is asking for help on something. Start documenting those ways where you're adding a lot of value. And so when I did that years ago, I realized a lot of people always hit me up whenever they need their resume looked at or whenever they're interviewing for a job. And I realized that that was a superpower that I had. And that's why a lot of the focus on sales players has been on landing a great role in tech sales. And my coaching is focused very much around helping people land their dream role in tech selling and negotiating their comp and all that stuff. So think about what you can talk about. What's something that you could talk about every single day, and start writing about that. Start putting content out there slowly, but consistently. And then it opens up all these different revenue streams like coaching and courses or ebooks. Then there's also things like brand sponsorships. A few weeks ago, a tech company paid me for a LinkedIn post. It was my first time doing something like that, but just know that those opportunities will come across your desk when you reach a certain point. And I'm relatively unknown and pretty niche, but even the audience that I have has great power, and brands see that, and it's been an awesome opportunity. So you really don't have much to lose. Just get out there and start creating. And even if it doesn't become a side income for you, it still might help you in your day job. One of the things I've noticed is that when I post something that gets a lot of traction on LinkedIn, I tend to have prospects that have gone dark on me come back into my inbox and say, hey, I didn't forget about this. And they never come out and say, hey, I saw your LinkedIn post and it reminded me that I need to follow back up. But I always notice that when I have a post that gets some traction, I hear back from prospects that haven't talked to me in a while. So there's a lot of ways that it can be beneficial. So that's it. Those are some ideas for if you're looking to get started. Again, consider your own personal situation. Make sure you're thinking through the potential risks of having a side hustle. But generally, I think it's a great idea, especially in this economy, to have extra streams of income coming in. And you've got an amazing skill set as a seller. You're a true sales player. You're out there doing the hard work anyway. This is going to give you a chance to continue to build your portfolio and your skill set in a way that's going to put some more money in your pocket. So thanks for listening, and until next time.